Welcome to the cockpit. My name's Ryan, and I'll be your pilot tonight. I'm excited. Not really excited. I'm not very excited. I want to win. I want to talk about some exciting victory stuff, but we're not talking about exciting victory stuff. We're talking about the doom and gloom Jets right now, how we can turn it around. Got some frustrated fans out there. This stream powered by BetUS. If you guys want to get yourself into the action, get a 150% bonus match on your first deposit up to $2,000 using code YouTube150. You guys want to decide where's Davante Adams going? The Jets currently minus 200 over on BetUS, so you guys can head over there, put some money down on which team you think could potentially be the next landing spot for one Davante Adams. All right. I want to talk to you guys a little bit in the chat, go through different things. I'll give you guys my thoughts after one day and a half of kind of digesting everything that we saw yesterday. So let me do my little monologue first. I'll talk to the chat, and then we'll open up the phone lines at 9. What do we want to do? 9:20, 9:30. We'll do the last half hour of the show. Phone calls. You guys will get 2 minutes after 2 minutes.
That's it. You're out of here.
You're going to get the chicken. So let's take it back. We have now lost 2 games in a row. The Denver Broncos by 1 point and the Minnesota Vikings by 6 points. The defense gave up a grand total of 26 points across those 2 games. And our offense just can't find a way to score the damn football. We have 2 All-Pros in back-to-back weeks asking for accountability. First, Aaron Rodgers, after prompted with a Robert Saleh comment saying that the cadence might be something we need to take a look at. All of a sudden, Rodgers turns around and says, the cadence could be one thing, or we could hold people accountable. I want to know who Rodgers thinks needs to be held accountable. And likewise, for this week, with Quincy, totally unprompted, by the way, being asked, what's it like to be on the field, whatever, blah, 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 blah. It was like, you had that fumble recovery. Unprompted. I'm sick and tired of this. People need to take accountability. Drops a little S-bomb in there. People just getting frustrated. I want to see accountability. And he says, well, what else? He's like, well, I'm sick and tired of saying the same damn thing. And Quincy took the high road. He put the blame and the onus on him for not scooping and scoring when he had the opportunity to give us some points going the other direction. When this defense feels like they need to be the entity that is scoring points and not the offense that this league fucking revolves around, is absolutely insane to me. Absolutely nuts. So what does accountability look like? Is it Robert Saleh, who never has this team ready on extended rest? We're going to have one extra day heading into Buffalo. We were handed gifts by Buffalo these last 2 weeks. They lost to Baltimore. They lost to the Texans. This division could be way out of reach for the Jets if Buffalo took care of their business. Likewise, if the Jets did anything, we could have started to put some distance between us and the Bills. This is going to be a tough division, and we're losing games that we shouldn't be losing, or at least should be in more consistently. Now I'm going to give you a little glass half full. Just something to chew on. Maybe it's not the take you guys want to hear. Maybe it's not something that holds as much weight now. But we might get to the end of this season, and Denver might be a tougher opponent than we're giving them credit for right now. Clearly, Bo Nix, not a great quarterback to start his NFL career. Lots of clunkiness. Didn't get his first touchdown until week 4 versus us. But they just hung 34 points on the Raiders. Jets held them 10 points. Minnesota has been lighting dudes up. Teams left and right. And all of a sudden, they run into the Jets, and they get 16 points, and then we're gifted an extra 7 from Rodgers. I think there's a lot of forms of accountability. I think the coaching staff needs to be held accountable. I don't think they're going to pull the plug on Saleh just yet. I said they have to win 2 of the next 3. That's what it was last week. We lost to Minnesota. So now we got to figure out Buffalo, we got to figure out Pittsburgh. I feel like if you lose to Buffalo, someone's head has to roll. You cannot be rolling into 2-4 into Sunday Night Football just doing the same fucking thing you've been doing every other week. That's the definition of insanity, right? Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. I think accountability could be in the form of play callers. Nathaniel Hackett, whether it's subbing in players that should be on the field or just calling some fucking creative plays. Super frustrating. I feel like anytime you see us trot out 2 tight ends, well, here comes a run. Just know it. 4th and 1, we're going to run it right up the gut. No creativity. No creativity at all. I think we put too much reliance on Allen Lazard. Now, Lazard, to his credit, through 3.5, 4.5 weeks, whatever it was looking pretty damn decent. But I think over the course of the last game and a half, 2 games, he's turned back into his pumpkin. And you got to learn to stop throwing his direction if he's not going to be able to make the catch in a crunch situation. Accountability can look like, in the form of players. Like Allen Lazard. It could be in the form of Breece. We've seen Breece's touches consistently get lower since week 2. It seems like there is some accountability there. I don't really know why. Salah seems to be able to hold Breece accountable, but it doesn't seem like anyone else gets held to that same standard. Breece is a really good football player. Breece should have opportunities with the ball in his hand. But maybe running right up the gut with an offensive line that has been struggling run blocking isn't the way to do it. Maybe it's getting him out in space, allowing him to make a linebacker miss. Maybe it's not having tight ends out there that can't block. I don't know if you guys saw that video about the blocking of the tight ends, Bates and Ruckert. Someone's got to take a shower. They stink. They stink. They have been bad. Not good at run blocking. Part of the problem. Olu. He's a rookie, but not really looking good right now. After his first debut, I was feeling pretty decent. Not so much last 2 games. Tyron Smith hasn't looked, studly. Just frustrating. Accountability could be in the form of Aaron Rodgers, too. Rodgers has been missing passes. We always want to give him the benefit of the doubt, being able to say, oh, well, the guy clearly didn't run the right route because Rodgers is so smart and he knows everything. I'll tell you what, that last play to Mike Williams, that sure as shit looked like it should have been a 50-50, 70-30 ball that we talked about the entire offseason. That ball's supposed to be high. Allow Mike Williams the ability to go up and get it. When you throw it into Stephon Gilmore's thigh, how the hell is Mike Williams supposed to get that? You can't tell me that was supposed to be a back shoulder throw. That looked like he was supposed to have inside leverage, which is absolutely insane given the way that played out. That ball should be only where Mike Williams can get it. It should be getting tossed almost out of bounds. Where if the ball doesn't land in Mike Williams' hands, it does go out of bounds. But you know what? Glass half full. We're going in to Monday Night Football with an opportunity to be number 1 in the division. If you can take care of business against Buffalo, who has been gifting us losses that allowed us to be in this position right now. If you could take advantage of that. Look, our quarterback's banged up, so is Josh Allen. Josh Allen should not have gone back into that game. There probably needs to be some type of, investigation or at least inquiry into hey, Josh Allen went night-night on the field, and they just used smelling salts to wake his ass up. You're not really supposed to do that. not really, at least. That felt clearly like a concussion. The rules are different when you're a quarterback. The rules are different when you're a star player. I just want to see something change. I want to see us figure it out. I want to see the offense click. Garrett Wilson had a ton of targets this past week. 22, I think it was. 21, 22. I like it, but you know who should be number 2 in targets? It should either be Breece Hall or Mike Williams. Or you know what? No. You know what? Maybe it should be Tyler Conklin. Conklin at least seems to be playing well. At least from the vibe, the eyeball test, right? Wouldn't mind seeing that. See, Mumtaz in the chat. Mumtaz says, I've never seen a team not be able to run at all. That is wrecking. However, I can't understand what Pro Football Focus is doing. How is Will McDonald rated as closest to worst D end in the NFL? He gets sacks every game. So I haven't taken a look at the All-22 yet. I believe that'll be out. It might be out right now. I'll take a look after this. I'll try to put together an every snap for Olu, an every snap for Will McDonald. If there's other players you would like to see an every snap for, let me know in the comment section of this video or in the live chat. And as I see it, I'll try to piece it together. The every throw from Aaron Rodgers is up over on my Twitter. So if you guys want to take a look at that, head over there. Let's go through some of the chat. I want to see what you guys have been talking about. Yankee Jet says, Woody needs to man up, make some changes. How can you consistently sit back and watch this shit show? It's pretty easy when you're a billionaire. Right? If I got $1 billion in my pocket, you can do whatever the fuck you want. This is a game. This is like any one of us owning a Monopoly board. Saying like, man, do not pass go, do not collect $200. Well, man, I wasted a few $1 million this year. Just a rounding error. Crazy. Crazy. Curly says, maybe Sal will realize you're allowed to score points in the first quarter by year 6 or year 7. Kyle, need to get Devontae Adams in the building ASAP, man. Someone who can actually catch the damn ball. Yeah, well, I feel like we need a spark, too. I feel like this offense doesn't have the juice. I don't feel like this coaching staff has the ability to motivate players. And I think a trade for Devontae Adams and maybe just balling out and saying, hey, you know what, we're just going to sign Reddick because screw it, we're not going to be here anyway, at least gets people excited and think we're trying to do something the right way. Jake says, what's this accountability? See? The fans don't even know what accountability is because we haven't seen it yet. Haven't seen anything. Joe S., it's the same garbage for 4 years. Yeah, the team always looks unprepared. Dude, it took me a while to be off on Salah. Now, I gave him the benefit of the doubt when we got to see Mike White, when we got to see Joe Flacco. There was some success with the offense with different quarterbacks not named Zach Wilson. But when Aaron Rodgers is struggling and the rest of this team is struggling, like, dude, clearly you have multiple quarterbacks. Clearly you have multiple offensive coordinators. And there's one common fucking denominator. It's frustrating because I think Sal's a pretty good dude. He's just not a good head coach. He's not holding people accountable. And whether that's Salah, whether that's Keith Carter, whether that's Nathaniel Hackett, whether it's the players not executing, it's a little bit of everything. It's really a whole lot of everything put together there. Players not executing. Like, there are plays where players are open. Lazard's just got to catch the damn ball. Robert Saleh, Nathaniel Hackett, those guys aren't going to be able to make them catch better. But we're seeing a lot of penalties. We're seeing a lot of questionable decisions from the coach. Paris says, realistically, this team isn't winning a Super Bowl. They just need to make some changes if they want to save their season. Sadly, I don't know if they're going to do it. I said after their second loss, so whether it's Minnesota plus Buffalo, they need to make a change, or maybe it's you have win versus Buffalo. Maybe that buys you an extra 2-game skid at some point. But, man, I don't want to see this season go down the tubes because we just waited too long to make a change. How often do you get to have a Hall of Fame caliber quarterback and an elite defense? You don't. Make the change, save the season. And why Jets fan, not too optimistic, Jets going to get blown out. I mean, I don't know if blown out's the right word, but I think we got to score points to win a game. Curly says, I think Rodgers just threw another back shoulder pass to a wide receiver who's not looking. Whether it's wide receivers not looking or we're throwing them to like 5'9" receivers rather than the 6'5" guys. We got 2 of them, Lazard and Mike Williams. Now, I saw people getting on Mike Williams for not turning around on that back shoulder. I don't think that's necessarily a ball he's able to get to because of where that ball was placed. I think it's got to be up higher and allow him to jump around. Nico thinks we get a win against Buffalo. Paris, the Jets always start slow, have way too many penalties. Their roster has talent, and most of these coaches get the least out of them. Yeah, this is a studly team. Like, I am so torn, and I've seen the arguments on Twitter, and I don't honestly have a good one for Joe Douglas. It's honestly the eyeball test. It's like, look, I think this roster is really friggin' good. I think he's built a great team. But this coaching staff doesn't get the most out of their players. And look, Joe Douglas has to own at least, the hiring of Robert Saleh. It just sucks because, I do think Joe Douglas is one of the better GMs that we've seen in this time. And I don't want to lose him. I think his ability to find talent, not just in the draft, but on the waiver wire, through the trade market, through undrafted free agency, he's got an eye for it. And if we wind up losing him because of, the inability to coach a team, we better hope we find a good GM after that. Too many penalties. It has got to fall on coaching. It's too consistent. Joe S., they start slow because Saleh's scripted plays are inferior to the opposing coach's scripted plays. Yeah, can we get Adam Gase back here for the first 15 plays of every game? At least his shit seemed to work. Tom says the Jets never show up in these games. They're going to get blown out. It's one of those late national televised games. Season on the line. If the Jets get blown out against the Bills, Saleh should not be in the building on Tuesday. Should not be in the building. Oh, nice little hook and ladder there. 3rd and 22. And the Chiefs get 20 of those yards. Jets would have ran it up the gut. Curly says Saleh is pretty stubborn for a guy who's won jack shit. It's true. It's true. Some of our best decisions have been forced on him. Sherwood playing instead of Mosley, thanks to injury. I feel like that's like a consistent problem we run into. When is Rodgers going to engage with the players on the sideline? Brady did it all the time. I don't know. I mean, it feels like anytime I've seen him, he's been talking, on the sideline, particularly in training camp. Maybe not so much during the game. I don't know how much his presence could do it. I mean, obviously, a nice little change would be all right. Probably doesn't want to step on toes to some degree. Jerome, Benigno said it best. The coaches change, the players change, the uniforms change, the stadium changes. The one constant is the owner, Woody Johnson. The head rots from the head down. The fish rots from the head down. So I don't disagree. That said, basically since Woody Johnson's taken over 2000 to now, has been one of our more consistent, successful stretches. Granted, the last 15 years has been a hell of a doozy. But that initial burst wasn't so bad. The one thing I'll give credit to the Johnsons on is it's not for a lack of trying. They do throw a lot of money at free agents. They do throw a lot of assets, to go up and get quarterbacks to try and do these things differently. They've tried the veteran quarterback route. Obviously Vinny was here when they got the team initially. And I think he was still here, right? He was here for the beginning part of Chad's career. Then you got Chad, who eventually, was a veteran coming in because he sat for so many years. You had Ryan Fitzpatrick. You had McCown. There's a few Rodgers now. You've tried the veteran route. You've tried the rookie route, the young quarterback route. That doesn't seem to work. Mark Sanchez, Geno Smith, Sam Darnold, Zach Wilson. So it's not for a lack of diversity in trying. Now, is it hiring the wrong players or hiring the wrong coaches? Is it, not having football guys in the building? Could be all that. Could be all that. Man, it seems like there's one common denominator here. John, there are way too many plays open. And Rodgers missed them. People keep talking about Wilson miss in the at the end there was another just as open in the first quarter he missed. This game was on Rodgers. I agree, John. I do think Rodgers was the biggest factor in yesterday's loss. 3 interceptions, every single one of them was his fault. I think he's not the only one to blame, but I think he was clearly the biggest issue in yesterday's game. Lazard was another big one. You could blame the offensive line. You could blame the tight ends blocking. There's a lot. The fact this coaching staff can't find a handful of plays for Corley is an effing joke. Yep. Inactive. Traded up for a dude in the draft. Can't figure out a way to use him. John says we could easily be 4-1. It's true. We are like 2 plays away from 4-1. That's basically what happened. A made kick at the end or a punch in on the 1-yard line versus the Broncos. Take your pick, whichever one you want to call it. And not having a pick 6 in this game, Jets are 4-1. Britt, no gas, all brakes. Yes. Mr. One-liner or motto, we're all gas, no brake. We're Mr. Rah-Rah cheerleader. It feels like we're doing a chant or something every single... It sucks because I want to like Robert Saleh. I really do. But man, this is just too consistent to have the same problems over and over and over again. I'm hoping it's not a Saleh problem. It's more of like an OC problem. Fatigue. Just for clarification on that poll, the players need to take accountability, but Saleh needs to hold the players accountable. It's both. So there's a poll question in the chat right now. Who should take the most accountability? Robert Saleh with a 60% vote share. Nathaniel Hackett with 21, the players at 16, and Joe Douglas coming in with a 3%. I want to see this. I'm curious on this poll. So I'm going to make this one nice and simple. Would you extend Joe Douglas? Just yes or no. I don't want to put any contingencies on it, like how many wins you got to do or not. I'm just curious what the fan base thinks as far as Joe Douglas and trying to separate Douglas from Robert Saleh, or can you not because they are a package deal? I feel like that's, you can throw that in the comment section as well. Just curious to see what you guys have to say. J-Boy, thanks so much for the super chat. Says, Ryan, to me, looks like Hall of Fame and O-line. Ryan, it looks to me like Hall and the O-line don't like the head coach new running style. I've seen it before. Just go back to what worked. So we changed our personnel. We practiced all offseason in this running style. Are we able to change it mid-season at this point? I think at the very least, you got to try and do something different. So whether that is the changing of a blocking scheme, I thought this was supposed to make it easier too. Like, hey, man up. This guy right in front of you. Block him. Now you're getting into a situation where you have to, find a zone and block that dude. Now maybe that's how you unlock Breece, because something clearly seems different with Breece. And Breece is a good player. I don't understand how we could have seen this regression from him in just a year. Curly says, as a season ticket holder, I hate wailing into that dump of a stadium. It's embarrassing. I don't like that stadium at all. We're stuck with it for the next decade, most likely. I don't see the Jets opting out of it. I don't see them leaving. They're not going to build a stadium. They're going to let that stadium go 30 years, I would think. Billy says this staff was correct about Mims, so my guess is Corley is a bust. I mean, he's only early in this season, so I'm not going to call Corley a bust. Oreo, let's say we make the playoffs but lose in the first round with JD needing a contract. Do you believe Woody keeps JD and fires Saleh? How do you see the JD situation ending? Look, I think I think you can make a decision. I think Joe Douglas, if he leaves the Jets, it's not going to be like he's out of a job very long. I think he's clearly found talent. Now, if you want to get through to the bye week and then extend him in, week 12 or something like that, when you have an opportunity to see how Olu Fashanu plays, when you get an opportunity to see, maybe Corley get some snaps, see how Tippmann and Will McDonald and those guys. Will McDonald was not a home run pick when it was made. It was a reach of a pick, and it looks like it's at the very least bearing fruit this year, given all the other headaches that have gone on. I would like to keep Joe Douglas around and allow the opportunity to bring in another head coach. Can you attract someone like a Ben Johnson from Detroit here? Can you get a Clint Kubiak from the Saints? Do you want to pivot to I don't want to say a retread head coach, but a head coach who has some experience, like a Vrabel, or like maybe it's Brian Flores. Maybe there's another coach out there that I'm just, missing off the top of my head right now. I would like to give Douglas another opportunity. I know the record doesn't necessarily justify it, and I understand where fans come from when they say that, but I would like to see Douglas get one more shot. Britt, with the World Cup coming up and the FIFA requirements of grass, do you think they will keep the grass? I think that's the main issue with MetLife. Well, definitely wasn't the issue last week's game or this past week's game being in London. My understanding is for the World Cup, they will have grass, but they will go back to turf after that because they hold too many events to keep the grass consistent. Which if you were billionaire owners, you'd think you'd have a secondary field somewhere. Like, I work for a golf course, work for a golf resort. But at the golf courses, we have what's known as a nursery for grass, and it's all different lengths of grass. It's green grass. It's when I say green, I mean the greens, the like short grass. There's grass for the fringes along the edges of the green. It's a little nursery. Why can't you just have a nursery and you just swap out slabs of grass? It's absolutely doable. Might have to spend a little bit more money, but guess what? You lose some star players, you don't make the playoffs, it's going to cost a hell of a lot more. Aaron Rodgers, $50 million last year. Didn't take out the insurance policy on his contract. Cost you a hell of a lot more when he gets hurt. I would like to see them stay with grass. I don't think it's going to happen. Blitz Crew, why has 75% of people not hit the milk thumbs? Boys and girls, please do yourself a favor.
Milk thumbs.
Hit those milk thumbs, boys and girls. We only got 50 likes. Got 175 people in here. We'll go a long way towards helping the channel. Thank you so much, Blitz Crew, for reminding the people out there. Sean says, keep JD. He gets good talent. I agree. Brees was on my milk carton this morning saying he's gone missing. For all you youngins that don't understand what that means. Used to put the lost and found or lost children or whatever on the back of the milk carton. Billy says Brees needs to be benched until he decides to not get knocked down by pinky tackles. Man, he does seem to fall like immediately after contact. Which tells me just get him out in space. Use him as a receiver. The Shield says it's hard to understand that to win a Super Bowl, we need an old-ass head coach who knows just about every play ever made to mix it up. Hackett just tosses Brees down the middle for a gain of 1 yard. I think Hackett's not a good offensive coordinator. That's through and through. Keuka Lake, I see what you're doing there. The black grass is probably the longest. Thank you for the $2 super chat. Andrew Yale. Stop making sense, Ryan. I don't know. Sometimes it makes sense. Sometimes I don't. But sometimes I do. Let's sacrifice some KFC before we go after Namath. I don't know. I entirely know what you're talking about there. Isaac. Brutal game in London. Back-to-back gut-wrenching losses, offense discombobulated and not in sync. Rodgers banged up. Man, this would have been a perfect time for a bye week, wouldn't it? Dude, I like the bye that we have. It gives us an opportunity to get healthy late in the season, but man, I thought we'd hit the ground running a little bit faster than we currently are. Little bit faster. Britt says turf is terrible on the knees. Yeah, it doesn't give either. And it feels like it's extra slippery when it rains, too. Jets need a proven head coach, no more unproven coaches. So you're probably Team Vrabel. That's where I would land, too. Illegally beast mode. I'm so late. Who said what? Yeah, Quincy Adams, looking for accountability. Aaron Rodgers, looking for accountability. Dumb. You look like Hall. He's going down. Oh, you look at Hall. He's going down. Yeah, he falls pretty easy. I'm pretty numb to this team as usual. It's getting hard to really get excited. Like week in and week out. There's only so many times I can like jazz myself up. You got to start proving it to me. This team hasn't done that. Get Brees involved in other ways. Wrong staff to do that. Yeah, look, get him out in space. Let him make a linebacker miss. Francesco, as much as I want to be above 500, I feel like we are overreacting. Look around the league. 49ers 2-3, Eagles 2-2, Bengals 1-4. All teams that are playoff teams are under 500. The season is young. That's the glass half full mentality. And I do want to keep that in mind. I don't want to be a doom and gloom person all the time. I think there absolutely needs to be accountability, and I do think this team is looking sluggish and unmotivated or slow coming out of the gate. But the rest of the league is looking pretty slow too. I said earlier in this stream, there's a chance. There's a chance that Denver at the end of the season, Minnesota at the end of the season, we're looking back and we're saying, damn, those teams were really good. And the Jets held the Broncos 10 points. They scored 34 yesterday. I don't care if it's against the Raiders. That's an NFL caliber team with a tough pass rush. Who knows? Minnesota on fire this season. Sam Darnold scoring multiple touchdowns in every game until yesterday. Jets put the clamps on him. Ted says, would you consider Cliff Kingsbury a second chance at head coach given how great the success has been with Jayden Daniels? So I said Jayden Daniels was the number one quarterback coming out of the draft this year. I was very adamant about that. I said I would have taken him number one overall. I do think that the talent that Jayden Daniels has is playing a factor in that, but you cannot ignore Cliff Kingsbury and his offense. I don't know if he would necessarily be the one I'd want to try a second time around. I wouldn't hate it. I really wouldn't hate it. I'd consider it. I want to see like a full sample size. Some guys are just better as offensive coordinators. I do like the guys that have seemed to have some success at head coach. Like for me, Vrabel holds guys accountable. And for every pendulum swing you get, like you have Adam Gase a little bit more disciplinarian, then you have Robert Saleh swinging back the other way, a little bit more of a player's coach. I feel like that pendulum swings back the other way, and you get someone who's a little bit more gritty, a little bit more stable. I feel like Vrabel's very smart. He's as close to a Belichick-esque coach that I have seen in this league since Belichick, or at least over the last bunch of years. Don't want to say like Belichick obviously stepped away after this year or after last year, but feels very similar from a strategic mindset. I think he's a very smart coach, and I think we need some smart. Smart seems like it would be a good decision at this point. J-Boy, we are in second in the East, playing for first, one game at a time. The season could change around real quick. We come out, we kick the shit out of Buffalo this week. We're going to be feeling a lot better about ourselves, and all of a sudden this team is not down in the dumps anymore. I feel like you smack around Buffalo, you make the trade for Devontae, this team starts cooking then. That being said, you lose to Buffalo, or you come out flat and get crushed by Buffalo, someone's head's got to roll. Someone's head's got to roll. Ted says, hello from Singapore. It was great to see a live game in London, which was 9:30 p.m. for me. That's pretty cool. Totally other side of the world. So you're up right now. I mean, that's got to be, what is it, the morning for you right now? It's got to be 9:30 a.m. That's got to be like a 12-hour time difference, right? I was supposed to go to Bali and Singapore for my honeymoon. And then COVID happened. So we wound up going to Aruba the following year. We wound up getting a dog named Bali instead. Would have been cool. Freedom House, when's the last time we threw a screen pass? Damn if I know. Last one that worked? Who knows? Been a long time. 𝐀𝐿𝐴 Lake, Flores is intriguing. Yeah, I do like Flores. I wouldn't mind that. Rico the Pup, watching Juju do the same finger guns thing now that Lazard did, and no one cares, shake my head. Yeah, look, it's a bullshit thing. It's because we're the Jets. You're allowed to do anything any other time. Chris, thank you, Chris, for joining the economy tier. Helping support the channel.
Milk thumbs.
Thank you so much. Boys and girls, if you're a member of the channel and you want to drop some of your JETS emojis in there, show Christian what he has signed on for. Means a lot. Thank you. Billy. How is Josh Allen not in concussion protocol? There's no way he didn't get a concussion yesterday. Yeah, no, it's because he's a player. He's a top-end player, sells tickets. That's why he's not in the concussion protocol. That's why. Jake says, Cliff Kingsbury is the worst coach in December ever. Have you met Robert Saleh? Have you met Robert Saleh? All right. Let's go to the phone lines. I said I was going to do it. I didn't do it. Now I'm going to do it. All right. Call-in number is being dropped by Nightbot in the chat. So you guys can call in there. I've got Mike and then Cameron. Let's see. Nope. Cameron, then Mike, then Nico coming up here. Give me 1 second. I'm a little discombobulated. All right, let's go over to Cameron. Cameron, how you doing, dude? Nope, that's the wrong one. Here we go. Cameron, how you doing, dude?
How you think I'm doing? I'm a Jets fan.
I
Watched that game in London, as did you, and I know I only have 2 minutes. You're quick with that button now. So.
Oh yeah, go for it, Cameron.
It was sadly what I expected us to do. After the week that we had against the Broncos, I'm like, the offensive discombobulated, the Nat Hackett can't call a game, and it didn't get better. You get extra time to prepare. You know the opponent. You know Sam Darnold. He was in your building. I know it wasn't this coaching staff, but it's not like somebody there hasn't seen him up close. And they played absolutely terrible at this point. End of the year, we just start over. If that includes getting rid of Rodgers, okay, I'm not sure he has it anymore. I don't think he's the quarterback that we paid for. Adams isn't going to make a difference at this point. I hate to be so doom and gloom, but I don't see anything that says to me there's a spark of hope on the horizon.
I do think Rodgers is not looking as advertised right now. It does look like he has taken a step back. Like, even with all the issues that we've seen with the play calling and with other players in the offensive line, like, Rodgers does look slower. Rodgers does look like he doesn't have the zip. Now, maybe that's a product of him being injured during the Bronco game. I felt like yesterday felt like the most aged he has looked. And that is, post the 2 knees getting whacked around in Denver.
Yeah. He's getting his butt beat behind that line, and
he is.
I'm at this point, I'm afraid we're going to see Tyrod Taylor before too long.
There was a little bit of me during yesterday's game where I was like, you know what? I don't want Rodgers to be knocked out, but like I would almost like to see some type of spark with a mobile quarterback yesterday, and it's a little weird to say. But Cameron, thank you so much for the call.
Have a good night.
Ejected from the cockpit. All right, let's go over to Mike. Mike, how you doing, dude?
I wasn't mad tonight. I was willing to discuss and talk with you like a man. And then you brought up Joe Douglas and the people who want him extended.
Ooh,
You have to
okay.
win to get extended. You can't have the worst record as a GM. You can't have Ryan Khalil, Brashad Perriman, Denzel Mims, Mekhi Becton, Zach Wilson. This coaching staff are all under your control. You put all those players here. They all sucked. Alan Lazard sucked. If Rodgers doesn't work out, that's on you too. You traded for him. I understand we're not really sure who to blame is for like the Hackett thing. It kind of seems like Woody Johnson's hands in the cooking pot more than it should be. But at some point, if you're turning the record, you have to win after 5 years. Where's it? Year one, he said, "Oh, I want an offensive line." I just watched Aaron Rodgers get hit 15 times, 25 times in 2 games. That's after last year when he just died. There's no offensive line. AVT looks bad. Simpson's a turnstile right now. Like I understand Douglas is a better GM than we probably had in a long time. But being a mediocre GM against a pile of garbage doesn't mean he's a good GM. It just means he's above the bar that's been so low for the Jets. Olu Fashanu played left tackle at Penn State. He was a pass blocker. He wasn't going into the draft and everything. His knock was he wasn't great against the run. Now he's on the right side of the ball, being expected to be a great runs blocker. That was never his forte. That's what he needed to work on. Why are we surprised he's struggling? I don't know. That seems kind of dumb on my part. Maybe it's just me being me, but I don't think that's his fault. Breece Hall, I don't understand why Salah only punishes him. He carried our team for 2 years. We traded for James Robinson when he got hurt to try to save that season. That's how important he was. So I don't understand why we punish him, but Lazard gets to just walk free every day like nothing. Like he's not costing the team. If Lazard doesn't drop that pass, Rodgers doesn't throw that interception potentially. It's that simple. Like the accountability's bad. And I'm probably going to call it again because I got a lot more to talk about. But the Joe Douglas thing, he shouldn't be back.
Interesting. Firecracker there.
You're out of here!
So I want to get the thoughts real quick in my noggin here. So he was talking about Joe Douglas shouldn't be extended and rattled off a few names there. And that's the record is the part that I struggle with, because from a winning perspective, he has not deserved it. And it's very hard to justify extending someone with such a piss poor record. Now, I do have a bone to pick with the Ryan Khalil comment. I do think that when you're brought in after the draft, after free agency, after all these opportunities to try and bring in offensive linemen, I think Ryan Khalil, who had just retired, was a worthwhile swing that just didn't work out. I think there are some logical decisions you can make that just don't pan out the right way. Zach Wilson, to me, in hindsight, look, obviously you do the trade down and you keep Sam Darnold for the extra year and you try to figure it out with Mike LaFleur. Maybe that all pans out and things work out the right way. But I think there's certain decisions, like if you're sitting and picking and making the quarterback selection, I do think Zach Wilson was probably the decision to make based on where other GMs had quarterbacks ranked. I think there's issues with how Douglas has handled parts of the draft. I mean, his 2018 draft or 19 draft, whatever the one was with Mekhi Becton, Denzel Mims, nonstop Braden Mann, and Ashton Davis seemingly being the only player of any kind of value from that draft. Not great. But I think when you look at year 1 with Douglas and you look at year 6 with Douglas and you look at the roster, I think it's clear the roster is better. I think it's more talented than it was prior. I think that's probably where I have some of my optimism from. Like, I very much would take this roster over any roster I saw with any previous GM. Like, honestly, even like dating back to like the 2009, 2010 years, you probably have some more elite young offensive weapons, or not weapons, but like offensive linemen, like Brick and Mangold were studs and staples of that offensive line, mixed with a healthy, Faneca and those guys. I feel like this team should be performing better. I don't have a quantifiable way to do, like to really prove that, which I think is the most frustrating thing with me with Douglas. But getting Quincy Williams, getting JFM, getting Bryce Huff, the undrafted guys that we like so much, McGregor, Tack McKinley coming in, clearly it hasn't totally come to fruition. But it feels like he has an eye for some talent. I don't know how to like quantify it. So I don't disagree with Mike, but I do I think you have to wait till the trade deadline, or not the trade deadline, but like what's our bye week? Week 12. I think you probably consider that. I don't think Douglas is out of a job very long. I'll be honest. If we get rid of Douglas, I think we're going to downgrade at GM. And that next GM might have a slightly better record, but I don't think we're going to find the talent that we did under Douglas. All right, let's go over to Nico. Nico,
Hi.
how you doing, dude?
Good. I think that the offensive line is not that bad, but it's Braylon Allen is a stud. He's not for being picked late. I think he's a great running back. He plays great. He's doing better than Breece Hall in stats, but Breece Hall's that catching running back we needed.
I like seeing both running backs on the field at the same time, like having them flank Rodgers on either side. If the offensive line can't block, at least you have two guys that can hit the shit out of a linebacker when they come blitzing in. And then at least it gives you that half a second more to at least get the ball out to Garrett or Conklin or Lazard or Mike Williams. I think both should be on the field at the same time, and it creates a lot of stress for the opposing defense.
Yeah, it's deadly when they're in together. It's unfair. Like, if you need to get the ball out, you have Breece or Braylon. And then against Tennessee, where they had the fake to Breece and then to Allen, they had no idea. They all went to Breece. And there goes Allen down the sideline for a touchdown.
Now, what do you think accountability looks like for this team? Is it in the form of players? Is it in the form of coaching?
It needs to be the coaching and the players. Like, we saw Allen Lazard. He kept dropping big plays that we needed. We could have easily had another touchdown late in the quarter. That pick, I mean, it wasn't a great throw by Aaron Rodgers. Don't get me wrong. That Mike Williams, the interception to Stephon Gilmore, if he would have pinpointed it, thrown it up, 90% of the time, I think Mike Williams is coming down with that.
Do you want to see us make the trade for Devontae? Do you think that's the spark we need, or it's something internal already?
Yes. I think we do, but I saw your other video where you said that we'd have to give up Garrett. I don't want to see Garrett.
I don't want to give up Garrett. God damn it. That's why I've said this like a few times now, where it's like, I think the conversation is like, I wouldn't be shocked if it goes that direction. Now that Garrett seemed to have clicked this week, I think it probably blows that over a little bit. I think Mike Williams is going to be an interesting trade chip because the GM over in Las Vegas was the GM that extended Mike Williams with the Chargers at one point. I would rather give up picks. I would rather give up extra picks to keep to get Devontae and keep our talent here, because I don't think they're going to get Lazard. I don't think we're going to be able to give up Lazard or anything like that. But Nico,
and
you're the man. Thank you so much. You've been ejected from the cockpit.
You're out of here!
Good stuff, Nico. All right, we got our spark plug back. How you doing, Mike?
Yeah, I love when they use Braylon Allen and Breece Hall against Denver, then never did it again because it worked. It's just, I hate that so much. We find something that works and they just get scared of success, or they're scared of first downs, or they're scared of sustainable offense, so they just piss it away. That's my favorite thing with this team. The biggest problem the Jets have right now is that their offensive line isn't in communication with the quarterback, who's out of sync with the running back, who's out of sync with the wide receivers. So it's like one big conglomerative mess. The talent's there, but it's just nothing's clicking. I think that's fixable if you win some games, but you're running out of time, so that puts some pressure on you. Why don't we use Braylon Allen as like the 1-2 back, like first and second down, beat the shit out of them on the ground, and then put in Breece when they don't want to tackle anymore and they're just, humiliated because they're just so sick and tired of having to tackle, Braylon Allen. Boom, here comes some speed. Or a really cool play that you could do is have Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson in the backfield. How are you going to cover Garrett Wilson coming around with a linebacker? Let's torture them. Like, I just think there's so many possibilities you could do with this team. You could have Mike Williams, Lazard on the outside, Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall in the backfield. That'd be kind of a cool thing you could do, but you won't do that. Instead, you'll do a screen pass to Tyler Conklin because that's what we want. The slowest man running for 10 yards, and he's going to get you 6 because he's not that fast. Put him in the middle of the field. It works every time. Put him in the I just don't get why he's the safety valve on the 3rd and 10 doing a peel banana route. Like, what are we looking at? And Rodgers is so quick to throw it because the offensive line is, he gets jittery, I think, now, which is another problem with him. But it's just like, do something different. Holy shit, go after Madden. Do something. It's just pathetic. I could call better plays in this, and I know I can because it can't be this difficult to only get 9 points when you need 10 or 17 when you need 16. This team is just broken in that regard. Like, God, I can't, man. It goes on and on. It's the same fucking script every game. Great defense, no offense. 3 years in a row.
So Billy wants to say something. You have to speak slower if you want Hackett to understand. Mike.
Oh, God. Jesus Christ.
You're out of here!
You've been ejected from the cockpit. Oh, man. Oh, man, that was funny. I enjoyed that. I really, really enjoy his calls. I enjoy all the calls. Cameron, Mike, Nico, everyone that calls in. It's always a good time. I'll talk to the chat a little bit more for the last few minutes here. Then I'm going to hop off. Boys got a shower. Feeling gross from the rest of my day. Kev says Mike Williams might have needed to stop his route before the interception. I guess I'd have to know if Williams was supposed to stop or if that was supposed to be a higher throw. It looked to me like that was supposed to be one of those 70-30 balls where you just lob it up and let a basketball player make that catch. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm just projecting what I wanted to see on there. But I do feel like even Rodgers said it afterwards. Rodgers was like, I underthrew that one. So maybe that's it. Joe S. Allen is clearly the better running back right now. Completely agree. Jeff C., you can't give up on talent. Lazard isn't talented. I'll drive him to Vegas. They'll take it. That's great. Soft Talker says, I saw a report online that Salah's headset isn't actually connected to anything. I guess that would explain a lot. No way JD trades Garrett. The purpose of the trade is to pair Adams with Wilson. Yeah, 100%. Now, the conversation that we had last week was if we had gotten to the trade deadline, Adams hasn't been moved yet, and Lazard continued to click, and Mike Williams continued to click, but Garrett Wilson, for whatever reason, didn't. That has since changed. Garrett Wilson got 20 touches yesterday, or 20 attempts, or whatever it was yesterday. I don't think that's going to be a problem. It was more of a hypothetical than anything else. And, man, I got cooked for just bringing it up last week. And then, lo and behold, Trey Wingo brings it up, and NBC Sports brings it up, and I was like, you know what? Maybe your boy's just ahead of the game on the talking points. So you know what? Sorry. Maybe I shouldn't speak my mind. I don't want to trade Garrett. I do not want to trade Garrett. If you guys want to try any gummies, maybe you're feeling a little stressed out from our Jets, head over to Crescent Canna. Link in the description, or Nightbot's spitting it out right there. There's actually Jet Life gummies to knock you on your ass. I locked them in my little food safe down there. Can't pull them out. 100 milligram gummies. Use promo code JetLife30, get yourself 30% off. Will says, yeah, Rodgers was getting the ball out so fast at times on Sunday, it looked like he was shook about getting hit. Well, he needs to get hit. He needs to get the ball out quicker than he was because he's still taking a bunch of shots. Quincy Williams, 2024. I love Quincy. I really like Quincy. He's one of my favorite players on this team. He's the better of the two Williams brothers right now. And I don't think it's really that close. Jake says his words were the only bright spot about yesterday. Yeah, look, that is a player that's trying to hold others accountable right now. Because I don't really get the feeling Rodgers is holding anyone accountable. Not that it's necessarily the player's job to do it, but I very, very much like Quincy Williams a lot. I think losing Jermaine, too, was a big loss for us. I feel like he kind of fit into that similar mold. Yeah, man, I love Quincy. Let's see. Billy says, I would actually be on board with bringing Rex back. He'd at least have the team ready to play in the beginning of games. I mean, he'd at least bring some kind of fiery passion, even if it was a short burst of like 2 years. Because that was the issue with Rex. Rex either didn't have a good GM or he had his hand too much in the cookie jar. Like, I don't want to necessarily see a retread of Rex. He dismantled a really stout Buffalo Bills team the following year that he left us. But I think players did play for him. I want an offensive-minded head coach. I don't want to try these defensive-minded ones, or I want to retread like a Vrabel. I think Vrabel is a very smart head coach. And I think if you pair him with Douglas, this could provide some pretty solid results. Daniel says, Jets are in disarray. Players calling out coaches, complete dysfunction. I think they're calling it for accountability. I do think Rodgers was very clearly calling out Rodgers. I'm not so sure Quincy was calling out coaches as much as he might have been calling out offensive players, or just like the ambiguous they, like here around the they're trying to do something. The they that doesn't have like an actual attachment to it. I think he was just saying overall accountability. I'd love to know if you had someone particularly in mind. I really do. Joe S. says, I would definitely not re-sign Hall. Yeah, I mean, right now you're not kind of in that position. You're in a really weird spot. Obviously, he's got one more year left on his contract after this season. You still have Braylon Allen behind him. I just want to see him ball out. I really do. Jake says, Ryan, Quincy was clearly mocking Salah's press conference. On the accountability, I mean, I guess. You think so? Like in terms of like from the week prior where it was Salah and then Rodgers and them going back and forth on accountability. Is that kind of what you're talking about? Or are you saying like Salah, oh, we're gonna get right. I'm not worried about it. We're only 5 games in. You're a third of the way through the damn season, dude, and you're like, oh, we're gonna get right now. What, 30% of the season just doesn't count? God. Salah's really pissing me off. Sucks. I want to like him a lot. Ed says Rex was decent until the end with the New England bashing. Then they just kept stomping the Jets. Rex's downfall was just the emotional roller coaster that he had us on all the time. He put a target on our back a lot. Those first, I would say 3 years were really, really good. From a motivation standpoint, and then the wheels kind of came off that 3rd year towards the end. The passion was great. The whole Rex, like the locker room, we're keeping Rex, like that made me feel good as a fan. I wanted to see that. Probably not the right decision, in hindsight, but I feel like it meant a lot to that team. Let's see. Billy says, Brees is circling the drain. I think he's still talented. I think there's too much talent to say he's going down the tubes right now. That's what the Ryans were about defense. Yeah, of course. Rex Ryan, Buddy Ryan. Alfonso says, Devontae probably going to New Orleans tomorrow. Yeah, I mean, based on how we're playing, it sure as shit doesn't seem like we should be trading for him. Saints probably have a better opportunity, although the AFC is pretty wide open. If we beat Buffalo, and especially if we beat the Steelers, like if this Devontae thing's going to go to the trade deadline, I mean, especially if he's injured, I don't know if you could trade for an injured player right now. He might have to come off that injury designation before he can be moved, which is probably helping us because then at the very least the salary is getting hit to the Raiders consistently. But I would love to see us come out and have a statement game against Buffalo. Beat the Steelers. You already beat the Patriots once. If you could beat the Patriots again, if you can go on a little 3-0 run heading into that Texans game and you say, all right, we're making a trade for Devontae just before the trade deadline. Now all of a sudden you're getting all fired up. I do want to see the trade for Davante. I think more good players is not a bad thing. Jake says Davante is leaving ASAP. Raiders not dealing with a distraction. I just want to know if the Raiders need, like, does Davante need to be healthy? Like, he's still out with the injury. And I think that's normally an issue with trading for a player. I could be wrong. Originally, I did think Davante would get traded within the next week or so. Like, the next 10 days is kind of what I was thinking. Whether it's before Buffalo or just after the Buffalo game. But if he still has the injury designation, he's missing a little bit. I don't know how that impacts it. Allison, thank you so much for the super chat, Allison. A-Rod suspended for someone else's mess. It could have been Zach that lost games. Yeah, Aaron ain't perfect either. He loses games, but not that many games. A-Rod suspended for someone else's mess. I think your voice to text is screwed up suspended. I don't know what suspended was supposed to be. Allison, you're making my brain hurt late on a Monday night. Look, I find it comical at least, and I don't know if this is where you're going with it, but that we saw just as much success with Zach Wilson, basically, is how I feel right now. Now, granted, we're not getting blown out in games. It is closer. I want Aaron to look like old Aaron. And instead, he looks like an old Aaron. See what I did there? Hi, Kung Fu. How far is Jordan Travis in his rehab? I would not put Jordan Travis in. I think you let this whole season play out. Give him the redshirt year and let him absorb as much as he can behind the scenes. I don't think it's fair to put that kind of pressure on him, but give him the redshirt season we haven't given to other quarterbacks. If you have to give him a quarterback competition next year because Rodgers is retired, and they want to give him an opportunity, that's fine. I kind of wanted to see 2 years of him. 1 year with the redshirt year with Rodgers playing. Second year, healthy, actually being the backup role, like right behind Tyrod. That's what I would like to see. Brees had his talent stolen from aliens from Space Jam. Runs like he has a piano on his back. Yeah, right? If you guys ever seen Space Jam, they suck out all the good stuff from the basketball players, give it to the Monstars. Brees needs a little bit of Mike's secret sauce? Secret stuff? Secret stuff. Billy asking, is Moses playing on Monday? I think he's on the short-term IR, isn't he? I think it's 4 weeks he has to miss. So, did he come in the Titans game? Is that when it was? Is that when Moses went down? No, Moses got hurt in the Patriot game. So he would be IR'd for Broncos, Vikings. He probably cannot come back until the Patriot game. 1, 2, 3. Denver, Vikings, Bills, Steelers. I think he can come back versus the Patriots. I'm pretty sure that's when it's going to be. Jake, Ryan, are you done with calls for the night? Yeah, I'm going to be done with calls for the night. I'm shot. I'm going to go take a shower. I'm tired. Lawrence asking, Davante getting traded tomorrow. Kay Adams just posted he can't be on her show tomorrow because he has something to do. Oh, man, that would be fantastic. What's tomorrow? Tuesday? Aaron Rodgers Tuesday? News going to break on Pat McAfee? Is that what we're going to get? Am I going to have to lose my shit at work? I'm going to be at work, and they're going to be like, Ryan, you got to go do X, Y, Z. I would be like, shut up. I got to go outside and yell into my phone for a minute. That's the type of video you're going to be getting if Davante Adams gets traded midday tomorrow. I would love to see it. Can we trade Kay Adams to the Jets? She's awesome. She's fantastic. All right, boys and girls, it's been a lot of fun hanging out with you. A lot of fun. I'll be back here tomorrow, 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock, with the Talking Jets panel. Before I do want to bring your attention over to our sponsor of the channel, BetUS. Get 150% bonus match on your first deposit up to $2,000 when you use code YouTube150. Devontae Adams next team, minus 200. If you think the New York Jets are going to get him. Is that a good bet? Do you think it's going to go elsewhere? If you think the Saints, I think the Saints were plus 1,000 at one point. If you think the Saints are the team that are going to get him, maybe throw a few bucks on that. I'm not going to tell you how you do it. Not going to tell you how to do it. Thank you, BetUS, for sponsoring the show. It's been a lot of fun talking with you guys, gals. This is Jets Talk signing off. JETS.